everyone, it's Haley, and today I'm doing my February wrap-up. So I ended up reading a total of, I think it was 15 books in February, which I am super happy about because they were all like full-length novels, and February is a short month, so I don't know how I did it. My goal was to read 11, but I ended up reading more than that, so I'm super excited about that. I ended up reading all but 2 books off of my February TBR. Fairest by Marissa Meyer was on there, but I took it off because they changed it from being a prequel to being 3.5, and I haven't read Cress yet, so I couldn't read it or else I would obviously be spoiled. And then The Walled City by Ryan Groden, I started reading it and I just wasn't really feeling it at the time, so I just put it down for now. But other than that, I read all of the books off of my TBR and then some, so I am super happy about that. And I'm going to be doing something a little bit different this month, so I'm going to have my top 3 favorite books for the month that I will talk about at the end of this video. So without further ado, let's get started. So first I read Sapphire Blue and Emerald Green by Kirsten Gier. These are the final 2 books to the Ruby Red or Precious Gemstones trilogy. This one was on my TBR, this one was not, but I just decided to read it while I was at it so then I could just finish the trilogy, and this one was kind of disappointing. I read Ruby Red back in June and I thought I really liked it, but now that I'm thinking about it, it was just kind of average. Nothing really happened, so I was kind of expecting more to happen in the second book, but this book nothing really happened in either. I ended up giving this one a 3 out of 5 stars. It could have been really good, but it's just nothing happened. Like I could not tell you what happened in this book if you ask me, because nothing really exciting happens. But then you get to the final book, Emerald Green, and a ton of stuff happens in this book. There was a lot of action, like a lot of answers. I just felt like the whole entire trilogy was kind of drawn out, and it could have been a duology or even one book. It was just kind of dragged out and kind of a little bit long-winded, but that being said, I did really enjoy the last book. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I just really wish that the whole trilogy would have been done better because it was just kind of boring for the first 2 books and then it was really exciting for the last book. So, I don't know, unpopular opinion, just yeah. Next, I read Serafina by Rachel Hartman. I read this with Maureen over at Maureen Keevy here on YouTube, and I was kind of let down by this book. I was expecting much more. I had been craving a dragon book for a really long time, and I tried Talon by Julie Kagawa, but I was kind of disappointed by that one as well, and unfortunately this one was another disappointment. I felt like Next, I read Serafina by Rachel Hartman. I read this along with Maureen over at Maureen Keevy, and I was kind of disappointed by this. I have been craving a dragon book for forever, and I was hoping that this one would be really good because I had heard that it was. I'd kind of heard mixed things about it, but I just felt like everything was kind of rushed in this book. Everything was underexplained. Like the characters and the world and the politics of the world could have been really awesome. Like the whole system of the dragons could have been so cool, but it was just kind of presented to you and not really fleshed out that much. I don't know, I just was kind of disappointed, and I felt like it was very confusing just since things were just so underexplained. I was kind of disappointed. I really wish I could have liked this more. I do still think I'm going to read the next book because it's just a duology, so just so then I finish it. I ended up giving this one a 3 out of 5 stars. I wish it could have been better, but yeah. Next, I read the 2014 Prince Award winner, I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. So I saw that it won the Prince Award, and that kind of gave me the extra push I needed to read it, and I actually ended up really enjoying this book. I do have a few issues. I felt like the chapters were very long. The synopsis isn't really that good of a description of what the book is about, but other than that, the writing was fantastic. The characters were really interesting and different. I really liked Noah as a character because the way he would describe things, because he's an artist, like art is a very big part of this book, which is one thing that's left out of the synopsis that kind of bugged me, but he like would describe things in terms of like paintings, and I just thought that was like the coolest thing ever. I was so intrigued by that. And just the whole art in this was fantastic. I thought it was just so cool. It added so much to the story. It was definitely my favorite part about it. I would say this is a story about twins, but that's not really the main focus of it. The focus of it is kind of art and like how it kind of brings them together but also pushes them apart. It's just very, very interesting, and it's not at all what I expected, but in a really, really good way. And this book in itself is a work of art. It was just so fantastic. The metaphors were just beautiful. They weren't too far reaching. I really enjoyed it. I give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read The Lost Hero and The Son of Neptune by Rick Riordan. These are the first 2 books of the Heroes of Olympus series, and I did really, really like them, but I do have some issues. I don't like the fact that you get certain characters in this book and then you're focusing on completely different characters in this next book. Like, I just didn't really like that. I know that they connect in The Mark of Athena because I'm reading that one right now, but I still just didn't like that, and that's not a spoiler, by the way. I just didn't really like that you got certain characters in this one, and then for a whole book you have to wait to hear from the characters that you learned about in this one, if that made sense. I don't know, I just didn't like how there was kind of like a pause in this story, and then you go to a new story, and then you go back to the other story. I just found it was weird. I wanted to know more about these characters. I can't imagine reading these books as they came out, because like waiting like 2 years to hear from the characters that you first read about, I would lose my mind and I would probably lose interest. But I mean, even reading The Mark of Athena right now, I'm having trouble keeping track of who's who, since there are so many characters and like you get new ones in this book and then you forget about these ones. So I just don't really like that fact, but other than that, it's Rick Riordan. How can he go wrong? Like, I love all the characters and I love the storyline. I just don't really like the fact that like it kind of paused there for a little bit. But I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars and this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. So I did still really enjoy them. Don't get mad at me. I'm continuing with the series. I really love them. It was just that one little thing I didn't really like. But I do really like the fact that Roman mythology is incorporated in these books. I just really think that is super, super awesome. Next, I read Prodigy and Champion by Marie Lu. These are the final 2 books of the Legend trilogy, and Prodigy was on my TBR, so I decided to pick it up. And then, once again, while I was at it, I just decided to pick up Champion, and I really, really loved this ending to the trilogy. I gave both of these 5 out of 5 stars. I thought they were just so action-packed, like just right from the beginning. You got right into the story, and I really loved that. I loved all the stuff that happened in these books. It was really kind of unexpected. I find this is a very different dystopian, but it's also not. I think it's so different because you get the perspective of someone who was like rich and living well in this dystopian society, and then you get the perspective of someone who's the exact opposite, and their lives connect, and it's just very, very interesting. Like I said, really, really loved the ending to this trilogy. I'm sad it's over, but I'm very, very glad that it happened. Now I just have a couple books to briefly talk about that I read for school. So the first one is Anne Frank's The Diary of a Young Girl. I don't know how to describe my reading experience with this. It kind of makes me uncomfortable in a way to be reading someone's diary. I don't know. I can't really give this one a rating just because I don't feel comfortable doing that. But yeah, I read it. And then the next one was The Reader by Bernard Schlink. I can't say his last name, but I did not like this book at all. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I just didn't really like it. And then I watched the movie and I really, really liked the movie, which is really weird because that like never happens. But yeah, that just, I don't know. I really liked the movie, did not like the book. I don't know. Okay, and these next 2 are my 2 runner-ups, I don't know, for my top 3 books. So the first one is Splintered by A.G. Howard. I'm not going to talk about this too much because I do have a review up, which I will link down below, and also if you click the book. But I really, really enjoyed this. I give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. If you don't know, it's a kind of reimagining of Alice in Wonderland, and I was expecting to hate it because I really like the original Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll and Through the Looking Glass. Like, Through the Looking Glass is one of my all-time favorite books, but I actually really ended up enjoying it, so I was very pleasantly surprised. And like I said, if you want to watch my review and know more of my thoughts and more of what this book is about, review will be linked down below. And then my final runner-up is one that I was going to do a review on, but I didn't end up doing it. I don't know why. But it is Beauty Queens by h.leblanc. I really loved this book. I wanted to listen to an audiobook, and I had heard great things about the audiobook for this book, so I decided to listen to it, and it was awesome. Like, if you're gonna read this book, I would recommend the audiobook first, because there's like commercials in this book, and it's told like a TV show, so the audiobook is just fantastic. It's narrated by h.leblanc herself, and even though there are so many characters, it doesn't get confusing like who's who, because she has different voices for them, but then they also have such distinct personalities. It was really awesome. I did have like a couple issues with it. Like, some of it I thought was a little bit far-reaching and kind of stupid, but other than that, I loved the characters. I loved the fact that it deals with a bunch of issues. It has like LGBTQ? You know what I'm trying to say. It has those aspects to it, and it also has like feminist aspects. It deals with just so many important issues, but in a satirical way, and it is absolutely awesome. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars because I really loved it. Okay, so now for my top 3. Coming in at spot number 3 is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I actually finished this on March 1st, but I read like the majority of it on February 28th, so I'm still counting it. I loved this book so much. I had heard I was gonna love it and then I was gonna cry, and I didn't cry. I don't really cry that much, but I just thought it was so good. It was like sad, but it was so happy, and the romance was fantastic, and Miles. I love me some Miles, man. Oh my god. So yeah, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. It was so fantastic, so cute, and just so fun. I really enjoyed it, but also sad. It was a lot of things, a lot of feelings. Coming in at spot number 2 is Snow Like Ashes by Sarah Rosh. I loved this book so much. The writing was great, it was funny, and the characters were awesome. I loved Mira, the main character. I just loved her. And there's so much royalty and like dashing princes in here. It was way too much for me to handle. I just could not handle it, but it was just so fantastic. I'm a sucker for royalty, so it just like really just made the story for me. But even I thought it was going to be romance based as a fantasy, but it is not at all. There's so much that happens in this world, and the world is fantastic. The world building, like, I have zero complaints for this. My only complaint is that I don't have the second book right now, because I want it. I want to know what happens. This book was so fantastic. I definitely recommend it. It was awesome. And coming in at my number 1 favorite for February is Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. Oh my god, I loved this. I loved this so much. I can't even like articulate my thoughts on it. It was so fantastic. It takes like a more dark turn than in Throne of Glass, but like in the best way possible. So many things happened in this book that were unexpected. Like, the plot twist just had me like, what? Girl, what? Like, I could not handle it. And like, just the romance and the everything. This book is fantastic. I loved it. I just loved it. So that is all for my February wrap-up. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you read in February and what your top 3 favorite books were. And yeah, I need to go and write a midterm now, so I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!